to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. I came across a movie, a TV movie, a German TV movie, as a matter of fact, from 1977 titled Operation Ganymed. And I had seen that this was a divisively rated film. And if you've listened for a while, you know that anytime I see a movie that is love it or hate it, I'm immediately interested. The only name I recognized in it, at least immediately, was Jürgen Prochnow. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be pronouncing that, who many people would know from Das Boot, which I'm now pronouncing correctly after years of saying Das Boot, The Replacement Killers, Lynch's Doom, The Keep. He's been in any number of things. You would recognize him immediately upon seeing. I mean, actually, he was in Firewalk with me because we just watched that, my wife and I, and he's in there for about a second. And he's in that, a lot of different things. And so I thought, you know what, this is interesting. It had an interesting premise about a group of astronauts who come back after an extended space flight out to the Jupiter moon of Ganymede, and they come back and find that the Earth appears to be desolate, and they don't know what happened while they were gone. So that is the basic premise, and the movie itself, I watched, apparently there's a couple of different cuts. The one I watched was was an hour and 50 minutes. It was partially dubbed in English and partially in German. So I don't know. I watched this on YouTube. It's not on any streaming service, so I had to find it on YouTube. The copy was pretty good, I think, for what it is. And, so it was partially in subtitle, partially not. I don't know if that was because somebody assembled this cut themselves or if this is an actual official one. It's difficult for me to even figure out because there's not a tremendous amount of information about this film. And if you read the reviews, like I said, very love it or hate it, this definitely feels like something that could have been a Twilight Zone episode. There's a number of reviews that mention that. And I don't disagree. The premise, the basic setup, the way it unfolds does feel like a TV episode, not necessarily even a TV movie, but an extended Twilight Zone episode. And the biggest problem with it is its length. It's its length and that it's not expertly made. That is probably what would make most people stop from finishing it. And there was one person I had seen on Letterboxd who mentioned that they had to try watching this 3 times to get all the way through it. I was able to do it in one shot. It wasn't that boring and bad, but I could definitely see people struggling to maintain interest because this movie absolutely did not need to, and I think there's a longer cut even than the one I watched, but it absolutely did not need to be an hour and 49 minutes long. This could have been 80 minutes top to bottom, and I think it would have been a much better movie. I could easily see somebody remaking this film. They would have to keep it in the same time period. It would not work as a modern film, but as a film that was set in the mid to late 70s, this premise I think could be a very effective one because there are very effective moments in the actual movie. I can't tell you it's a bad movie. I can say that it's not the most well-made movie. They edited some things incorrectly and didn't edit other things enough. But the central premise, the story, I think is actually pretty good. I like the people in it. Again, speaking in English and German at different points, and apparently natively speaking, so it's a really strange movie in that respect. But as far as the performances, I liked everybody. The story, it does have some logical problems, and there are some things that could have been handled better, not in terms of stuff that doesn't date well, but just some of the narrative storytelling is very janky. But you get what's going on, and I think it is actually a pretty compelling story, and if it was told more efficiently, more economically, I think it would have been a much better film. But it was a TV movie. It doesn't appear to have had much of a budget, although I don't really care. Some people got very hung up on the budgetary limitations, which are very clear at different times. That's not an issue for me. I understand budgets are different. That's okay. I don't think that necessarily sinks a film. It's not glaringly, obviously horrible. It's just pretty clear they didn't have a ton of money. But again, I think the movie's basic setup has a lot of potential. I think as this exists, watch it for free on YouTube if you're interested, if you're curious. I think the first 30 minutes is not as bad as some people do. I think that's perfectly fine. I think everything after that is where it starts to feel like it's too long. I still think it's worth watching, but I don't know that this would warrant many revisits because it is too long. There's just no way around it. And the soundtrack is bizarre. That didn't bother me as much, but it does not make any sense with this film. It's almost worth watching to see if this soundtrack was like a temp track that they forgot to remove. I don't know. But again, 1977, Operation Ganymede on YouTube in several different cuts. I watched the hour 49-minute one. I had a good time with it once. You might too, but yeah, definitely too long. Later.